going on, guys? Welcome back to another Pokemon Ultra Sun and Moon Wi-Fi battle. Today, I actually have two matches here. These took place over on my live stream that I had on Twitch against my viewers, so I am using this NU team again just because I really do like these guys, and they're pretty fun to use. But this first one is against Barry, and he's got a pretty solid team there. I am worried about the Hariyama could cause some problems. He's got a Vikavolt of his own, which, you know, could be trouble, along with some stuff like the Sneasel. If that thing's choice banded, those things are always just annoying. But let's go ahead and just get right into it here. So I'm going to lead off with my Piloswine because I was expecting Druddigon on his end, so that's pretty perfect. Plus, Piloswine's just a generally safe lead all the time in NU. So I toss out the boy that can't see shit because he needs a haircut, and he does actually end up leading off with his Lego Dragon. So I expect him to probably want to switch out, knowing that I can go for that Icicle Crash and do a bunch of damage right from the start. I felt like it's pretty risky for him to not switch, but he actually just stays in, and we trade some Stealth Rock. So that is fine, and at this point, I figure there's no way he's going to stay in this time. He doesn't have anything that he can do to me, so I decided to go for Earthquake, expecting a switch into potentially the Clytzer, who could take the Icicle Crash. But he actually just stays in again and ends up smacking me in the face with his Dragon Tail, and that is going to bring out my my Dodrio. So, judging from that Earthquake damage from Piloswine, I know that a Choice Banded Brave Bird will kill this thing at this health, but then again, I would take a whole bunch of recoil damage and then the Rough Skin, and Dodrio would pretty much not be able to switch back in for later. So I decided to just end up switching out here. I go into my Vileplume, as he actually ends up going for Toxic, so that's pretty nice. I'm able to absorb that, and then I just go ahead and toss a Sleep Powder, as this thing is really just staying in against me. He does not want to switch this thing out, so I put it to sleep, and he's having a nice little nap over there. So I have come to realize that this man just does not want this Druddigon to be around anymore, so I'm just going to stay in and go for a Sludge Bomb, and that actually ends up taking this thing out. So down goes young Ridley. I guess he pretty much just wanted to use it for Stealth Rock. It doesn't have much to do against my team anyway, so now he gets a free switch, and he decides to bring in the Silvally. So this is actually a Steel-type Silvally, I believe. It does end up having Air Slash. I just stayed in just to kind of see what it was going to go for. Luckily, non-stab Air Slash doesn't do much, but I do get flinched, and that is kind of annoying. I do want to conserve my Vileplume because it's a great defensive wall, and it still has some stuff to do on it against his team. So I'm going to switch right into my Incineroar here. I am going to take some Stealth Rock damage, but I'm Assault Vest and pretty damn bulky, so I can take really any special attack this thing wants to throw at me, plus it's Steel type, so it's I have the type advantage here. So I know that he's probably going to want to switch out, so I'm going to go ahead and predict that and just go for a U-turn, so that way I can get a matchup on whatever he brings in, as he decides to go into the big meaty Claw here. So the U-turn is going to pivot me right out, and then I can bring in whatever against this thing, as I'm actually able to do over half to that Clytzer. That was kind of ridiculous, but this allows me to bring in my shiny boy, the slowest jet in all of the lands, as I know that I can take anything this thing wants to throw at me, and then I can knock it out with pretty much anything. So he actually stays in and goes for the Dark Pulse. I'm assuming that that was because he wanted to try to get a flinch. Dark Pulse is non-stab, and it wasn't able to do as much damage as if he were to go for Water Pulse, but Water Pulse wouldn't kill anyway, so I guess he was just going for the flinch there, but doesn't get it, unfortunately, and now the Volt Switch is going to allow me to go into whatever I want. I decided to go into just Piloswine here, just because that is going to force him to go into his Hariyama and try to get things started with that, but I do still have that Dodrio, which I have been saving for that Hariyama, so I'm actually just going to switch right out into my Vikavolt here, just because I kind of figured I was going to die to the Stealth Rock damage, but I actually don't, and that allows him to fake out, and that is going to knock me out. Imagine getting faked out by those big-ass hands. That would be pretty damn ridiculous. Pimp slaps for days. But yeah, so now that I have the free switch, I'm able to bring in my Dodrio, and here I know that he has that Steel Silvally on his team. He's going to be expecting Brave Bird, so I'm going to go ahead and click Jump Kick, predicting the Silvally to come out, so the Steel Weird-Ass Horse does come out, and the Jump Kick is going to knock that thing down. So, Choice Banded Dodrio coming through yet again with a little bit of prediction help, and that's perfect. So, now he is able to go into the Sneasel. I'm kind of worried about this thing just going for Ice Shard, and Tripolar is going to be able to come in later and hit hard with another Brave Bird. So I'm going to actually just switch here. I decided to go into Incineroar just because I can get an Intimidate, and Sneasel really does not have a whole lot to hit me with, so that's pretty nice. I go ahead and scare him a little bit, lower that attack, and he actually just shows me he has Fake Out. So that tells me he's definitely not Choice Banned, and that is awesome. So now he goes for the Poison Jab, and thankfully, because of that Intimidate, I'm actually able to take that. Incineroar is way too damn bulky. He had to go for Poison Jab because it's the only neutral move against me, and honestly, I really just did not expect to live that. So that's pretty surprising. I'm able to knock out the Sneasel. That thing is generally a big threat. You always see them Choice Banded, but lately it seems like Everybody's been running some different shit. But I go for the Fire Blast here against the Vikavolt. Thing actually turns out to have an Akka Berry. I get a critical hit, which almost knocks it out anyway, but that does allow him to finish me off with a Bug Buzz. And Bautista, you did your job, buddy. That was I've been really enjoying using this thing in NU. Intimidate Incineroar is absolutely overpowered. But, so yeah, now I'm able to bring in Haircut. I know that I can just outspeed this thing with Priority Ice Shard. That is going to knock it out. And fucking big ol' Hairball over here is just taking names. So, now he's going to go into the Hariyama yet again. This thing is still kind of scary, but I do have Dodrio. The main thing I am worried about is if it has priority though. So I just go for an Ice Shard just to try to get as much damage as I can before I go down. So he finishes me off with a close combat, and that is going to be a dead pile of fur. But I did do my job, as he's going to lose some defense and special defense there. Not really too big of a deal. And now I can just bring in my Tripolar. So I kind of just wanted to test to see if he did have Bullet Punch. Since I saw Fake Out, he probably doesn't, and he actually doesn't end up having Bullet Punch there. Even if he did have the priority, he would have been able to knock out Dodrio. But I still did have Toxicroak, so I could have came in, outsped, and been able to do a bunch of damage to that thing. So I am actually going to kill myself in recoil, which is always kind of funny, but Dodrio sacrifices himself for the win, and that is going to be the end of that battle, guys. So that was a pretty good one, having some fun with this team, so I was like, you know what, let's get into some more. So let's go ahead and jump right into the next battle here. Alright, so this one is against another Twitch viewer. This is against John Patrick, and honestly, looking at the teams, it's pretty similar compared to the last team that I played against. He does have a Soul Valley. It's going to be a different type, but then he's got another Sneasel, Druddigon, along with Vikavolt. So one thing I noticed is that Toxicroak is actually kind of scary to my team if I lose some of my counters to it, but let's go ahead and just see how it goes. Alright, so this time from looking at the team preview, I figured he's probably going to lead off with the Cradilly. Therefore, I decided to lead off with Vikavolt instead, rather than Piloswine, because I didn't want to get Giga Drained. But he actually ends up leading off with his Sneasel, so that's kind of interesting. I know that this thing can't knock me out in one hit, so I basically just get a nice little free Specs Volt Switch here, as he's just going to switch directly into his Druddigon here. So the Volt Switch is going to do a solid chunk of damage here, and this allows me to go into whatever. I decided to just go right into my Piloswine, because this thing is a great check to Druddigon here, and I do want to get my Stealth Rock up as early as possible. So things over there eating some leftovers, and either he's going to switch out here or he's just going to stay in and set up his own rocks. I decided to just go ahead and toss up mine, and he does stay in. He's going to set up his Stealth Rock as well. So I don't have any hazard removal on my team as per freaking usual. I don't know why I never carry that, but this team doesn't care too much about it, so it's not that big of a deal. So now I'm just going to stay in here. I'm going to go right for an Icicle Crash, depending on what kind of Druddigon this is. It has a chance to live it, so I go for that, and it actually does end up living it with like 10 HP, and this allows him to go ahead and Dragon Tail me. So Piloswine's basically like, what the fuck, man? I keep getting hit in the face with these fat-ass tails, and I'm sick and tired of it. But this drags me into my Vileplume, and that's actually perfect, because that's probably what I would have gone into anyway. I can take any physical attack from this thing, and obviously I'll be able to just knock it out. So I just stay in here, go for a Sludge Bomb, and I take out the Druddigon the same way that I took out the last one. So get a nice little critical hit there, totally needed that. And yeah, so Vileplume's over here at full health. He does get a free matchup here, so he decides to go into Venom, which is the Toxicroak. And shiny Toxicroak's actually looking pretty damn nice. I like that blue color. But I decided to stay in here and go for the Sleep Powder in case this thing wanted to pull any Swords Dance shenanigans, but he shows me that he actually just has Ice Punch. So I take over half from that, which is annoying, but I do get the Sleep Powder off and put him right to bed. So Vileplume really does not have much to damage this thing with, so I do have to switch out here, and I do want to conserve my Vileplume. So I just switch right into Bautista, just because after the Intimidate, I know that I can take anything from this thing, and I can actually hit it really hard in return with Earthquake. So I get that Intimidate. He is afraid while sleeping. I don't know how he even saw me, but I still intimidated him, as he actually does wake up here, and he's able to get off a Drain Punch. So that actually, I'm able to live it with 12 HP thanks to the Intimidate. Incineroar is an absolute beast, and that was pretty amazing there. So that allows me to fire off a nice little Earthquake, and that is going to take this thing out. So it should have been freaking sleeping for longer, but homeboy must have took a nap earlier. He was just not too tired. So down goes that thing though, and that's pretty nice because Toxicroak was looking kind of scary. So now he brings in the Sneasel. Again, I don't know what kind of Sneasel this thing is. I do see Knockoff, and I'm kind of just scouting out to see if he's Life Orb or what this guy's working with. It does actually end up not showing me an item, so I'm expecting that to probably be choice banded, but I know that I can bring in Piloswine. I can take at least one from this thing, but since I didn't see an item, I figured it was banded, but it turns out to actually be a Z move. So you don't actually see Z-move Sneasel too much, so I'm just getting fucking thrown curveballs from all these damn Sneasels, as it turns out to be Corkscrew Crash, which that looks like that freaking hurts, and I apologize for that, Palace. I'm just sending you out here to get fucking beat up, and that is going to kill me. So I got bluffed by the no item show there, and you know, that kind of sucks. Losing Palace Wine is pretty unfortunate, but at least now I know that this thing doesn't have a usable item, and I can bring in Vikavolt, who takes about 45% from its highest damaging attack, so I know that I can take anything, as he is just going to go right into the Cradildo. So I actually just go for the Volt Switch, knowing that Sneasel is going to switch out, and now I can just get a nice little bit of momentum here against this Cradilly. So I decided to bring in the homegirl Brittany, as against Cradilly, this is actually a perfect matchup, because unless this thing actually has Earthquake, which there's no way it does, because no Cradilly actually carries Earthquake, it's not going to be able to do too much to me, and it's pretty much just setup fodder here. So I'm just going to go right for a Swords Dance, as he's going to switch into the Vikavolt, get hurt by some Stealth Rock, which is very useful, and I'm going to dance with some Rusty Swords like Toxicroak does best. So with the +2 attack, I now know that a Poison Jab should be able to take this thing out. And that is exactly what happened. So Toxicroak is proving to be one of the better NU mons that I've played against. Honestly, I really like this team. I'm pretty damn comfortable with it. Probably one of my better NU teams. But so now he goes into the Silvally. Actually turns out to be a Grass Silvally, unfortunately for him. So Poison Jab is going to be super effective, and that is just going to knock that thing right out. So I'm actually faster, which is nice. And you actually don't see Grass Silvally a lot, so that's actually kind of cool. But yeah, so now he can just go back into the Cradilly, and it's really quite unfortunate that I was able to just set up against this thing, because Toxicroak is an absolute monster, and once you let this thing set up, if you don't have anything faster like a Dodrio, you are pretty much going to be screwed. Even then, it does have a really hard-hitting Sucker Punch. After a Swords Dance, you do not want to play games with Toxicroak. This man, he'll fuck your day up. But so yeah, now he can just bring in the Sneasel. I kind of expected here for him to go for the Ice Shard, predicting me to go for the Sucker Punch, so he'd break through that. But he actually just goes for the Icicle Crash instead, and it was kind of a misplay on my end. I ended up just going for the Drain Punch, hoping that he was gonna Ice Shard, but it didn't end up happening there. Not too big of a deal though, because I do still have an answer for this, and that is just to go into my Vikavolt, who, after Stealth Rock, I'm actually sitting at about 50%. I know that I can take at least one attack from it. I live it with 4 HP, which is amazing, and a Bug Buzz is going to happen, and that is going to kill the Sneasel. So that is going to be the end of the battle there, guys. That was a pretty solid set of matches. I had some fun battles on my stream against some viewers. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Go ahead and hit that like button on this video if you enjoyed, and I will be back with some more videos soon. Peace out, guys.